Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another race. The 2021 championship season rolls on into another race in Canada. Last time we raced at Canada, Trois Rivieres. DJ Kurtis dominated the race and took home his 21st Sony Cup Series checkered flag, and it was his second time this season winning a race. And with that, DJ Kurtis took over the championship lead and now holds a pretty hefty margin, 35 points over Cody Llamas. That's the biggest margin from first to second all season so far. Llamas is going to be looking to bounce back. He had a poor qualifying effort. Jesse Tunner's down to third. He was the championship leader entering the race. He starts on the outside pole. Dylan Schwallenberg, he won for the first time in his Sony Cup Series career, in a Sony Cup Series race at this very same racetrack. He's on pole. Could he go back to victory lane here at Canadian Tire? Have to wait and find out. You have Dejan Weeks, who is also looking to find victory lane for the first time since 2019. In that CM Racing Chevy, he starts in fourth. Let's get down to start the race. Into Canadian Tire, Dylan Schwallenberg enters this race fourth in the championship, third in the championship. Jesse Tunner on the front row. Both drivers hopeful that this could still be their season to fight for the title. DJ Kurtis has been significantly strong in his results in the first 11 rounds, but can that carry over? He's got a good starting position. He'll be on the inside as they head to turn one. Kurtis has an average finish of 6.91. He has been significantly superb all season. There's just no other word to put it. But Dylan Schwallenberg on pole. He's been so close to winning a race all season. Gonna have a good chance today. The green flag flies. We're racing at Canadian Tire. Into turn one, Dylan Schwallenberg clearly out ahead of Jesse Tunner. Tunner trying to fight against the championship leader, DJ Kurtis. And Tunner looks like he's going to be able to get this position away. Kurtis started third. He's going to line up in third. Nick Mace qualified very well. He's to the inside of Dejan Weeks, looking to get fourth place away. Now, this racetrack is very narrow, I will say, as they head down to the very... This is the toughest corner of them all. I believe this is called the Moss Corner. And Nick Mace down underneath of Dejan Weeks takes fourth place away. Mario Andretti straight away for the first time today. Dylan Schwallenberg, good advantage over Jesse Tunner. Bradley Bishop Jr., the hometown favorite, working on Dejan Weeks. Weeks is on the back foot. He lost a couple of places here. Lost a place to Nick Mace. Looks like he's going to lose a place to Bradley Bishop Jr. Bishop Jr. has been super good all weekend, and it looks like Dylan Young, he's already on pit road. He has had a tow back to the pits. Dylan Young, he was racing with Jeffrey White, and looks like Dylan Young, first lap shenanigans at Canadian Tire. We've seen this happen year after year. Everyone fighting for supremacy through the S's in the closing lap. Dylan Young and Jeffrey White, they're just outside of a top 10 place in the championship standings, and this is not going to help them at all. They're only going to score 1 point this afternoon. A lot of off-track news has been going on for this race weekend. A lot of driver transfers. Looks like the Red Bulls are getting after it. Samuel England, Charles Sanford kind of rubbed doors a little bit there in the Moss Corner. But anyway, back here, dead last of the cars running on the racetrack, it is Doug Lockrow in the 05. Flying Aces Racing has picked up Doug Lockrow, and they have released Alexander Rowe. Alexander Rowe has actually chosen to go over to the 88 for Martin Motorsports. There he is, Alexander Rowe, a longtime Flying Aces Racing driver, chose to leave after Jeff James, and Martin Motorsports finally cut a deal for Jeff James to leave the organization. Jeff James tried to enter this race with Hydra Racing, failed to qualify, but he will be back next week at Washington, D.C. for Joseph Shrigley Racing. Passing are going to be looking for a move on the hometown hero, Kyle Collins. Collins didn't finish all too well at Trois Rivieres, finished down in the 30s. He ran in the top 20, but had a problem on pit stops. Jake Bassinger won here last season, powers his way past the 86, and it's Jake Bassinger up to P7. Contact! John Hart and Eric DeMax are in the tire barrier as well. Lap 4, just 3 laps after Dylan Young and Jeffrey White slid off the course. Eric DeMax and John Hart are out of it as well. For 23rd place, John Hart deep in the pack. Oh, just slid over in Eric DeMax. Hard racing. DeMax pancakes the tire barrier, and that's out of the race for both drivers. On board with Alexander Rowe. It is so narrow through the S's, and when you're trying to go side by side and get the preferred line onto the front straight, it's just hardly any room for 2 race cars. There was another incident on the racetrack. Jeffrey Lynn, Richard Johnson for 17th place. Johnson got into Jeffrey Lynn, and that's going to be out of the race, I think, for Jeffrey Lynn. Richard Johnson going to try and drive away. He could possibly be out of the race. That's a lot of damage to the 47 machine. And Richard Johnson, that's clumsy mistakes right there. You just can't afford to have happen. So hearing there was some more contact between Anthony Marchese and Charlie Smith. Marchese and Smith also making contact through the S's and off the course. And Smith, this is his last time. He'll be behind the wheel of the 18 car. He'll be moving over to the 01 for Joseph Strigley Racing for the remainder of the season. Marchese, his second race, had an amazing run at Trois Rivieres. Back it up next week at the last Canadian race of the season. And Marchese out of the race. After the handful of laps to start this race, a lot of accidents. Drivers trying to keep it on the course, and some drivers have been failing to do that. Dylan Schwallenberg, 10 laps in, has built up a 2.5-second advantage over Jesse Turner. Turner back to second. DJ Kurtis riding in third. Bradley Bishop Jr. has moved his way up to fourth, and that's an Allen Family Racing Team Dodge. And we know how good the Allen Family Racing Team cars have been this season. They actually have lacked a lot of pace this race weekend in particular, other than the 42. Ryan Acosta, Chris Dodd, John Hart's out of the race, but they just haven't quite been top 10 material. But Bradley Bishop Jr., home race, races in the Hardee's National Series. Well, very well driven team and driver. Bishop Jr. is riding in fourth. Dejon Weeks in fifth. Jake Bassinger's moved his way up to sixth. Kyle Collins in seventh. Nick Maces fell down a ways in the handful of laps. He's down to eighth. James Sorfox, a solid top 10 run in the early going. That's good to see for James Sorfox. And Cody Llamas making up the top 10 places. Anthony Marchese, Ryan Griffin, James Shelley, Ryan Acosta, Sean Harple, the top 15. Then it's Fitzwater, Bobby Jones, Chris Dodd, Dom Capps, Alex Peñaco. That is the top 20. Give a call to Blaze McKinney, making his Sony Cup Series debut. Brandon Parsons has decided to move on and back to Virtual Eye Racing. McKinney, this is McKinney's debut. I know Blaze McKinney has tried for a handful of times to make Sony Cup Series starts, but this is actually his first time out there. He's racing door-to-door, almost door-to-door. Eric Burton looking for a pass. It's surprising that Eric Burton's down here in 33rd, that he's struggling this bad. Same thing with Charles Sanford. You would expect these veterans to really be showcasing a lot of their ability behind the wheel, but they're down in the 30s and struggling on lap 12. Some more drivers out of the race. James Shelley and Matthew Rodriguez, I believe that is. They're out of this, battling to get into the top 10. James Shelley trying to follow Ryan Griffin, going to make contact with Matthew Rodriguez and slight contact out of the race. In the tire barrier goes Rodriguez. Shelley nowhere to go. Is going to need to get a tow back as well. And that's a shame for both drivers. Shelley and Rodriguez. Shelley's probably been, I wouldn't say the worst driver, but he's had the worst luck this season, James Shelley has. And with him deep outside the top 15 in the driver's standings, Shelley's just wanting something to go right. And it's a shame for him in that 71 team. Matthew Rodriguez, the same thing. Dylan Schwallenberg's out front leading this race. Schwallenberg's had many opportunities to win, just hasn't done so. However, Rodriguez does have that win at Willow Springs. He was hoping for better results. coming into this race. Acosta in the 45, looking to make a move. Oh, nearly into the pit wall. Acosta door-to-door with Cody Llamas. Both drivers led the championship early in the going. Llamas trying to get it back, but Llamas needs to be thinking about a top 10 run. He's door-to-door with Ryan Acosta. This is for 11th place. Ryan Griffin, we know he came from open wheel racing, so we know he's got to be good on the road courses, but the Sony Cup Series, it just has not really been there. Griffin in a stock car on the road courses just has not been his specialty. But for Monster Energy Racing and team, good to see this 37 in the top 10. James Sorfox in the 34. We know he's pretty good everywhere, James Sorfox. And to be running in 9th place, a top 10 would be very good for him this afternoon. That's got to be the end goal for United Emirates Racing. UER and Cybertron Motorsports working very closely for the remainder of this season and even into 2022 as they begin to work with Mercedes for next season. Bishop Jr. trying to get alongside of DJ Kurtis. This would be to get into the podium positions for 3rd place. Bishop Jr. door-to-door, side-by-side with the championship leader. Bradley Bishop Jr. really showing his hand this afternoon, going wheel-to-wheel with DJ Kurtis, and he's got the upper hand. Looks like he's going to take this position away to be able to outclass and outfox the Fox himself of DJ Kurtis. You know you're doing something out there. And Bradley Bishop Jr. moving his way up to 3rd place. Dejon Weeks has closed in on this battle as well. I think I might have jinxed him. James Sorfox is on pit road, and he has an issue because he's been sitting on pit road for a long time now. And that's quite a shame for James Sorfox and team. This has just been his luck all season, where he's had top 10 pace, but something has taken him out of it. Down the Mario Andretti straight, Nick Mace, Kyle Collins. Collins trying to put up a fight, but looks like Nick Mace has him here. Collins charging the corner, but Nick Mace, that's exactly where you want to be. That extra little pavement there. A lot of grip. Nick Mace up into 7th place. Looks as though Eric Burton has fallen out of the race. It looks like there's been a crash on pit road. Eric Burton has been involved. Coming down pit road, looks like he had tangled with Matt DeLeo in the 56. And Eric Burton, we don't have footage of it, but Eric Burton is out of this race. He has been tore up, and that's a DNF, another DNF for the 91 Cybertron Motorsports team. Bradley Bishop Jr. working on another race car on the back bumper of Jesse Turner. Bradley Bishop Jr. has been doing so well this race. Dylan Schwallenberg just is taking off. He has an 8.5 second advantage on Jesse Turner. Turner has his hands full with the 42. Bradley Bishop Jr., wow. That is nearly 2 seconds faster. Dylan Schwallenberg was over Jesse Turner last lap. Turner trying to manage. Pit stop should be coming up shortly. Dylan Schwallenberg long gone. He's got this under control. This is going to be a one-stop race. Tire wear, well, this is the same tires we have used in the last couple of seasons here at Canadian Tire. They thought about going a compound shorter with the tires coming in this race, so pit stops would be more of a play for this race weekend, but teams are only planning for a one-stop. Dylan Schwallenberg looking very good out front, just needs to keep his car pointed straight. Bishop Jr. now getting the challenge from DJ Kurtis. For 29th position, Blaze McKinney trying to make an overtake on his teammate Vince Freeze. McKinney in his debut side-by-side with Vince Freeze. McKinney, whoa, sideways, oh, and he hits the tire barrier right there at the entrance of pit road. And that's going to be out of the race. Blaze McKinney, luckily he's okay, hit the tire barrier, but wow, Blaze McKinney tried to make the pass on Vince Freeze, and that's going to be his race over. Meanwhile, Jake Bassinger has been able to make a move on Dejon Weeks. Jake Bassinger is up in 5th place. So while we've been covering a lot of the action that has been either in the top 3 or just outside of it with accidents that have happened, Dejan Weeks lost the top 5 place to Jake Bassinger. Bassinger's been slowly but surely making a move to the front. Leader Dylan Schwallenberg is on pit road for lap 29. He's on pit road and nobody has passed him for the lead just yet. There's Jesse Turner, Bradley Bishop Jr. Looks like they're going to get a lap led. Somebody will, at least. Turner goes by Dylan Schwallenberg for the race lead. Jay Kurtis and Bradley Bishop Jr., they've been racing hard for that net second place. DJ Kurtis is going to come to pit road. Bradley Bishop Jr. stays out. Jesse Turner, again, staying out with Bradley Bishop Jr., leads a lap. Very lap after Jesse Turner, Bradley Bishop Jr., they are now in the pits. And I believe everyone else that hasn't pitted yet are going to pit this lap. Camera angles aren't very good because the billboards all around the racetrack. Dom Caps is down pit road. There's the leader, Dylan Schwallenberg. Schwallenberg could have won at Richmond. He could have won at New Hampshire, really. That's 2 races this season. That 10 team threw away a lot of points. And Dylan Schwallenberg in the 10. Looks like he's going to be in the lead of this race. Once pit stops cycle out, Jesse Turner leaving pit road now. He's going to be looking for DJ Kurtis and Bradley Bishop Jr. Bishop Jr.'s a little ways behind. DJ Kurtis was not able to make a pass on them. Jake Bassinger, though, closing in on that battle. Top 5 from 2nd to 5th are under a blanket. DJ Kurtis looking to make a move for 2nd place. Jake Bassinger's there as well. 1st and 3rd in the championship. DJ Kurtis trying to put Jesse Turner back. Now Turner desperately wants to gain points on Kurtis this afternoon, but Kurtis is going to take 2nd place away. Jake Bassinger and teammate Turner side by side. Turner trying to crowd Bassinger down a little bit. Bishop Jr. is there. He fell a ways down. Bassinger, Kurtis were able to get by him, put him down to 5th place. Turner loses out to Kurtis. Kurtis is up to 2nd place. Jr. trying to get 4th place back away from Jake Bassinger. Turner chasing DJ Kurtis. Dejan Weeks trying to get back in this battle as well. Bishop Jr. has the high ground, swinging it round the outside here. Now has the preferred groove. Bradley Bishop Jr., Jake Bassinger, and Bishop Jr. I think is going to have him. Move Bishop Jr. back up into 4th place. Just outside of the top 5, we know Dejan Weeks is closing in on 5th place. Nick Maces is in 7th. 8th is Kyle Collins. 9th, Cody Llamas. Right now, earning another top 10 result to be running. Right now, he's 2nd in the championship, entering this race, but to be challenging DJ Kurtis for the point lead, this is not where he wants to be running when Kurtis is running 2nd. Another lackluster race for the 48 team, and I believe Llamas, after the last handful of seasons, to be saying 9th place is lackluster, has been showing the improvement that team has been making. Ryan Griffin still holds a top 10 place with Dom Caps for Martin Motorsports in 11th place. What a run for Dom Caps. Sean Harple is in 12th. Ryan Acosta's been into somebody out there. He's racing with teammate Chris Dodd and Alex Spignaco. That's the top 15. With, look at here, Bobby Jones, Zachary Fitzwater, Hannah Allen, Kev Shear, Charles Sanford. He's also got damage. But it just shows if you can keep your car pointed straight, you can gather some good solid points. No, Matt DeLeo in Great Lakes Motorsports. The engine has gone up in smoke on the Whirlpool Dodge. And Matt DeLeo did a phenomenal job to get in the top 8 and pre-qualifying to make this race. It's the first race of the season that the 56 has made, and it's out of the race for Matt DeLeo. Here, Jake Bassinger under a challenge from Dejan Weeks. Weeks in the Flex Tape Chevrolet is going to get that position, and Dejan Weeks is into the top 5. Teams to hold DJ Kurtis back. Turner actually made that pass on Kurtis, so job well done to Jesse Turner. But, wow, 14 seconds. Dylan Schwallenberg holds a 14-second gap to Jesse Turner. Turner comes across the line, still 14 seconds. Turner and Kurtis have been putting on a great battle for 2nd place this afternoon. Now, Turner comes in this race 37 points behind DJ Kurtis. So, right now he's gaining 50 points by running 2nd and Kurtis is getting 46. So he's gaining 4 points. And Turner right now would be 33 points behind DJ Kurtis in the championship race. If Kurtis can be ahead of Turner from second and third, then that means that Turner would leave this race 41 points back instead of 33. So that's a big swing if you think about it. One position between the two drivers. If Kurtis passes him, that is a big swing. That's an 8-point difference, really. And Turner desperately wants to keep that championship leader behind him. Only a handful of laps to go. Really, this battle between Jesse Turner and DJ Kurtis has been the focus in these last 10 laps. Kurtis really wants to put Jesse Turner behind him because I think Kurtis realizes Jesse Turner could be a dangerous threat as the championship season progresses. Kurtis is right on the back bumper. He's going to make a move to the inside. Kurtis and Turner wreck. Turner's off the course. Jesse Turner and DJ Kurtis have spun. Contact was made between the two champions, and Turner's out of this one from second place. Jesse Turner and DJ Kurtis made contact going down to the Moss corner. Absolutely unreal development. Turner was blocking and trying to keep Kurtis behind him and making contact. First and third in the championship, battling for second on the racetrack, and Turner's in the tire barrier and gonna be falling out of the race. And it looks as though Doug Lockrow and Zach Rogers is also out of the race, so we're gonna have to get a replay of what happened earlier in the race. But Turner looks like he's gonna finish 27th at this rate if everyone keeps running. They're trying to repair the 17 car. Every point matters. Jesse Turner knows this because he won by 2 points over Nick Mason 2015 for the title, and him returning to the racetrack at Cape America to gain 3 places ended up being the difference for him that season. But Turner and Kurtis racing down, heading towards the Moss corner, and a block, a fatal error in judgment, I believe. I think Turner made a block, and Kurtis got in the back of him. This was the closest Kurtis had been in as many laps. He had been working on him, and Kurtis had such a run heading up the hill. Turner was on the right side of the racetrack. Kurtis went to the inside, and Turner kind of went to the middle of the road. And it's such a narrow course that any little movement by any race car driver, you're into the back of somebody. And DJ Kurtis got in the back of Jesse Turner, and that is Turner's race done. Wow. Wow. This is unreal in the championship mix. Third in the championship, Jesse Turner was trying to hold on and gain some points. What was at least looking like 4 points on Kurtis at that moment. He's going to lose a load of points to Kurtis now. Dylan Schwallenberg takes the white flag. The top 10 currently, it is Schwallenberg, DJ Kurtis, Bradley Bishop Jr., Dejon Weeks, Jake Bassinger, Nick Mace, Kyle Collins, Cody Llamas. Llamas has made a pass on Llamas coming to the white flag. Ryan Griffin's up tonight, and Dom Capps has been moved up to the top 10. It looks like this is going to be Dom Capps' first top 10 of the season. I believe Dom Capps really needs this. He's not had the best season. He's 28th in the point standings. No top 10s. But Dylan Schwallenberg, second in the championship, 7th place right now. The championship leader directly behind Schwallenberg, but it's going to be a 10-point gain in the championship for Dylan Schwallenberg, and Schwallenberg's going to put a victory on the board. Schwallenberg is going to go for 2 out of 3 at Canadian Tire. Dylan Schwallenberg wins at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Schwallenberg wins from DJ Kurtis in a controversial last 3 laps. I believe the officials will not throw a penalty towards DJ Kurtis, or really in the fact of anybody in this race. A lot of hard racing this race. And a lot of it was down to racing incidents, if I were to say so myself. Bradley Bishop Jr., third place in the 42 Mopar Dodge. That is a standout run. The only Allen Family Racing Team car in the top 10. Good result for that team to get third. Dejon Weeks, good solid points, gets fourth. Jake Bassinger getting a top 5. Nick Mace getting better and better each race, it seems. 6th place. 7th goes to Cody Llamas. He beat Kyle Collins in the last handful of laps. Collins finishes 8th. 9th, Ryan Griffin, and finishing in the top 10 for the first time all season, Dom Capps. Well, DJ Kurtis, that isn't how his battles on the racetrack with his championship rivals is going to be what he wants, but that was hard racing with Jesse Turner, it looked. Dylan Schwallenberg finally closes it out, and he gets his 3rd career Sony Cup Series checkered flag. Congratulations to Dylan Schwallenberg on getting the win this afternoon. Let's get you to our finishing results and standings after